Hola chismosas, welcome back to Puro Pink Chisme.
And if you're new here, I'm Bree.
I'm Mati.
And I'm Diana. Welcome back to our third episode.
Yeah. Feels like a milestone. And these look so much better.
They do. And I think that we sound checked.
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
did.
So for sure. We're already
sure.
starting. Oh my goodness.
No, you guys should actually count in the episode how many times we say for sure. To see who's right.
You know what's so funny? I was with Kevin yesterday, and I don't even remember what we were talking about, and he said for sure. And I was like, wait, did I get that word from him, or did he get it from
Maybe.
me?
Oh, he's the culprit. I had a server. I went to Uncle Julio's, and this girl, if we were all there, we all would have started cracking up. She said, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. But the for sure's were worse than ours.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy because I feel like, and I think we talked about this the other day too. Before the podcast, we did not used to say for sure. Mm-mm. I think we would be like, okay, literally, or like something, but we didn't used to say for sure like that.
It's you.
It's Kevin.
It's Kevin.
It's Kevin.
Let's just bring Kevin.
Yeah.
That
for
is
sure.
So funny. Okay. Bree, remember the other day that we told you to go to the party?
Yeah.
And I think you had dinner plans or something.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed it. It was so much fun. It was fun.
Did you drink? What'd you guys do?
Not that much. But it was fun. It was really fun. Like we did, but it wasn't like OC, you know?
Yeah.
We really played like games and stuff. The vibes were good. It just felt like good vibes, you know? Sometimes you go to a party and it's like mucho.
Yeah.
But this one was like good vibes type of thing. But it was like a little bit, I don't know. I don't want to say there was like awkward vibes or like it was like a weird vibe, but it was some toxicos and toxicas in there.
No way.
Yeah. So there was like this one couple, and it's so funny because I think they're both pretty young. Do you remember how old they were?
Yeah. Okay. So if you looked at them, you would think they were a lot older than their age. I think the guy was. I think they were both 21.
They were both 21.
They had just turned 21.
21.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they had both turned 21, and like they were both pretty cool, right? But this isn't the first time we've met them, and the first time that we had met them, like they weren't really drinking. Well, she wasn't really drinking like that, the girl.
Yeah.
So then this time at the party, she was drinking like a little bit more because I think we were peer pressuring her a little bit, but not that much. But you know, and then every time like her man would come around, she would put the cup down and like scoot it away a little bit.
What?
So then we were like, like, you know, it's just a little sketchy. But anyways, eventually we ended up playing a game between all of the guys and the girls, and he was standing like right behind her. And every time she took a drink, like, he'd be like, ¿Qué estás tomando? ¿Por qué estás tomando? And so then we asked, and we were like, wait, like, you don't like her to drink? And he was like, no.
Excuse me?
But then like, the thing is, here she wouldn't drink. Because, you know, like.
Yeah. But
so when it, like.
was he drinking?
Yeah.
So it was a little bit weird because, you know, one, you would think they just turned 21, they would be drinking. And I get it, not everybody, you know, drinks.
They're drinkers, yeah.
But so, like she said, the very first time we met them, she wasn't drinking at all. Like, she would not drink. We offered her some. She said no. Then the second time, we kind of, like, you know, we asked her, and she was kind of more open to drinking. And I remember him and her just kept saying, no, we got to go back home. Like, we got to go back home. Mind you, we're like an hour away from
I remember.
Like they were about an hour away from where they live, and it was pretty late at night. Like, think of it like a small gathering, I would say. And I remember I even said, you guys can just stay here. Like, thankfully the hosts are very, open into that. But when I said that, he literally, like, she can even tell you, he looked at me like dead in the eye, like straight, no expression whatsoever.
Te iba a pegar.
Me iba a pegar.
Le iba a pegar.
Yeah, no, literally. And I remember, like, I think we kind of looked at each other, like, or everybody was just kind of like, what the heck just happened? And I was just like, okay, I'm just not.
Yeah, because I think you said something like, no, se pueden quedar.
Yeah.
And then he was like, she said something like, ¿por qué no se quedan? And then he was just like, ¿por qué no? And she was like, se van a quedar. And then his eyes was like, bitch, what the fuck you just say to me? Like, that's how his eyes were.
No
Mind you,
way.
he's not even my man to be looking.
Yeah, first of all, and to do it in front of everybody, to do it in front of Kevin,
Yeah.
like
That's the thing.
I don't
that's
think he
just.
caught it though.
But do you think that, like, what was that, like, the dynamic between them before they started drinking, like before the drinking came up?
Well, to be honest, I want to say yes and no, because
Yeah.
even from like the first time that we met them that she was not drinking, he always gives off a little bit like machista, you know,
I
like,
was gonna
to be
ask,
honest,
yeah.
he does kind of give off a little like
That's true.
machista. He's cool. Don't get me wrong. Like
Yeah.
he's definitely a cool dude and stuff, but you can give, like, you get that vibe.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, but like siempre la tenía acá. You know what I'm saying? Like siempre
Yeah.
estaba ahí. Even the first time that I met them, because I don't know if you guys had known them before, but the first time that I met them, and then this second time around too, like it was just the same vibe. I feel like, we were drinking both times. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really weird. I don't know. I just remember like, so she was a very, I don't know if it was because she was like with him or like, you know, being in a not public area, but like in a gathering or whatever. But you could tell she's an introvert. She's pretty shy. Because even with us, I feel like she was, you know, she's like a little girl. I would
Yeah,
say
she
like
was like
that.
themey that, like,
Exactly. But it was just funny because there was a time where, like, again, we were playing different games,
Yeah.
and sometimes like the guys would go like play, like I think there was like a poker table or something like that, and then we were playing like a game. So you know, there'd be times where her man wasn't really paying attention. So then that's when, you know, someone that we also know, like, she'd be putting the like more like toma, or like she was like putting more like, you know,
Yeah.
on whatever. But it was so funny. It was just whenever he would kind of come around, she wouldn't really drink.
She would like shut down.
Yeah.
So she was a little bit more extroverted with you guys,
Yes.
versus like everybody,
Right.
So in front of him, she wasn't
Yes.
like, oh, that's just like, and I think you commented on that, like it was just like very, very toxic, like toxico thing. But it's just like he's very possessive over her,
Yeah.
and she probably feels like she can't act, but that's so unhealthy.
It is.
It is. And you know what the thing is, like, well, I kind of get your guys' opinion. Like, what do you guys think about those toxic behaviors in relationships?
To me, well, in that exact scenario, like I kind of would just compare it to Kevin, like in me, who I am as a person. Why are you telling me what I can and cannot
Yeah,
do,
no.
or even just drink in general? Like I understand if there's like a certain limit, like let's say we want to go home, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
and he feels strongly about that, but you know, like don't tell me what to do. Like
No.
especially, I don't know, I just feel like it came off very aggressive, especially in front of everybody.
That's what I was gonna say. It's, I mean, obviously it's bad if you do it outside, you know, just in private. But like to do it and to make her look bad in a public social setting, that's just like, there's. I think that also he probably also made a face to you because you challenged his like, you know, his like machista like
Yeah.
energy, and he's not used to it. Obviously, you
Yeah.
know, like
It's giving big red flag.
it.
It's giving red flag.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, there are so many red flags I think we could get into, too. Like, what would you say is, like, a major red flag in, like, a toxic relationship?
So I've never like thankfully experienced this, but I feel like I have seen or heard stories of, you know, toxic relationships. For example, like clothing. Some guys will not want their girls to wear certain
Yep.
clothing items or to be exposed. And, you know, I understand there's also like decency in
Right.
being in a relationship. But at the same time, like, let's say I don't want you to wear a dress, or I don't want you to wear a dress above your knees. Like, I feel like that, to me, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. Kind of going back to the possessive thing. Like, you don't, they don't, like, you can't go out like that. Like,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And it's just like, for what? Like, I don't and everybody's relationship dynamics are different, you know, like, and you can go back to saying, like, it could be about modesty for some people, but, like, if a girl wants to wear something and her boyfriend, husband is controlling that, like, I don't think that's good. I don't think it's healthy. It'd be one thing if the girl did not want to dress like that, and she was also just, you know, saying, like, she wants to be a little bit more modest. That's a little bit better, but And you know, it doesn't always start like that. Like, they don't show you the red flags from the start.
That's true.
They always do like love bombing, or like kind of like ease in. They're just going to treat you really good. And then when you're in too deep, then it all starts.
That is true. But, you know, I would say love bombing is also a little bit of a red flag.
It is.
Because,
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, we all love, but
Yeah.
love bombing too hard is
Yeah.
a little bit different, because like you said, one day it's going to switch up. And to me, like honestly, I feel like a big red flag for me is being like not being consistent.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, you know, like, and that's the thing that I kind of felt like even in this specific story, it's like you said, are they always like that? Is it because of the drinks? Is it not? So are you being consistent? Is what you're saying your actions?
Yeah. Or is he just flexing because he's
Or
in
are
front
you
of other
just-
people?
right.
Like, it
That's
could
a
be a
good point.
different
Yeah.
dynamic at home, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, either way, it's wrong. Like, and you need to have some fun. Like,
You do.
I would like to point out, though, because she did mention to us, it's not like she drinks on occasion or,
Right.
you know, whatever. She did, at least when it was just us girls, she did mention, like, she doesn't really drink because of, you know, the way she was raised and everything like that. No one pressured her
yeah.
into drinking or
Right.
anything like that, because we would not
Yeah.
condone that. But I feel like she kind of did it on her own, and maybe she's just scared to kind of venture out and be herself, or
Yeah.
even to drink, because she's scared of what he might say, or like what I don't know.
But you know, they're also pretty young. I mean, we're not super far away from 21. But what I'm saying is, like, it's a very young relationship, and it seems like they're already very serious.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's that venturing out to question, or have you just never had the chance to?
Do you know how long they've been together?
She said 2 years.
So, yeah.
She
they
was
were
19.
young. They were young when they got together.
And, you know, sometimes, like, when it comes to, you know, like, the red flags and everything, and the big one that ties into it is, like, a narcissist, you know? But what if this is all he has showed her? Like, in the sense of, you know, she hasn't had a chance to venture out. So
Yeah.
all she knows is, eso es lo que es bien, and this is what's not.
Or she hasn't been introduced to, like, a better person, you know, like she doesn't know any better,
doesn't know
you know,
any
like,
better.
so she did, or this, you know, like, she has seen, because let's be real, like, the machista like culture is mostly in Latino culture, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, like, she saw that in her parents or some her family members or whatever, and, you know, like, this is all she knows, this is like this is how the way things are supposed to be, and she just doesn't put a stop. Maybe she's okay with it. I mean, she's okay with it. We don't know. We're not okay with it, clearly.
Right. We're not okay with it.
If you know us individually, you know we're not okay with it.
Yeah.
But
Just hope that everything, you know, is okay.
Yeah.
At home, but
Yeah.
I don't know. But they're pretty young. I mean, I feel like all got into relationships pretty young, but I feel like we never experienced anything like that. But I do hope that, you know, that was just like in the moment, and, you know, it could just be also that he was drinking, you know, whatever. It shouldn't be where he results in that behavior, even though he
Yeah.
was drinking, but let's just hope it was in that moment.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all have our signs of, like, red flags too, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, the question really is like, when are we red flags, and when is it okay for us to
Right.
be red flags? What justifies it?
Or even when is it okay to be a toxica or toxico?
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's, like, the playful, you know, like, toxica, like, oh, you're just being a toxica
Yeah.
kind of thing, you know? But, like you mentioned, like, when is it okay? Like, where is the fine line between it's just a joke and, you
It's
know,
problematic.
It's more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, there's just, like, that playful, like, you know, like, jealousy, or, like, you know, like, I don't want to say possessive, because it's a negative word, but, like, in that situation, you know,
Yeah.
like, couples always have that, and it's all they always say it's the toxicas, yeah, and the whole time it's the toxicos,
It's like my man, my man, my
yeah,
man.
like that thing, you know. But it's just like,
What do you guys think is an example of just being playful in terms of like you know what you guys said of being playful in a relationship of, you know, being a toxica or toxico as compared to it's okay, you're passing a boundary?
I definitely think when it comes to passing a boundary,
or not boundary, I guess,
or like passing the line, you know,
passing the line.
I definitely think it's public, you know, like I'm not saying doing it in private is okay, because that actually is probably a little bit worse too.
Yeah.
But when you humiliate me in front of other people, I think that's
not good.
problematic.
Yeah.
Because and it kind of ties into both, because you can start off very playful, you know, like I don't know, in a lot of like Spanish, like when we're with like the Spanish families and everything too, you know, a lot of times they're like, te va a pegar, you know, like they always be saying that, like, cuidado, te va a pegar. And like, they say it to the men mostly, like they're like, no puedes salir, te van a pegar. And I think that kind of comes into like playfulness, you know, where they might just be like, ah, sí, me van a pegar. But then once you go into like humiliating me and belittling me in front of people, I think that's where it becomes problematic of being like toxica and toxico.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Going back to like the clothing thing, you know, I think that if it was like a joke, like, oh, like, where do you think you're going with like that, looking like that? Then that's different than like, go take that clothes off right now.
Yeah.
Or not letting someone go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or being
That's
like,
true.
you're not going out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Like, It's just to each their own, right? But
Yeah.
definitely red flags. And it's important to be able to look out for the red flags too.
That is true. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? That is true. Because sometimes you can be blinded. And I think that kind of comes in with the playfulness, though. You know, like I think it kind of ties into everything we just said, where like the love bombing, the narcissist, like all of that. When you're new to something and you might be new to a relationship and all of that, you're just kind of like, this is cute. Like they're overly jealous.
Yeah.
It's cute. I like this. You know, I like that. Pero cuando para?
Exactly.
You know, like, and that's exactly what you're saying, where it's just like,
where is the line?
where is the
Like,
line?
and sometimes the red flags can look pink.
Yeah. It's not.
I have
always
pink
just-
flags. I have pink flags
exactly. We
only.
don't have red flags. We have pink flags.
I can just get to light pink flags and hot pink flags.
That's actually so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Put that in the bio.
Right.
And I'd like to point out too, it's not just the guys.
No,
it
it's
could also be
not.
the girls,
Yeah.
because I know a lot of, you know, sometimes it could be like an insecurity from past relationships,
Yeah.
or even something that has made you lose that confidence or trust in the other person, or just simply your personality in general.
That's
But
true.
it's not just the guys, it's also the girls as well.
That's true. I've heard a lot of stories about like las tóxicas, you know?
Yeah. And it's a thing that also ties in, like I said, the machista culture, and just like that, like, it's like exaggerated masculinity. Like,
Yeah.
we all like a masculine man, right? But like, it's that like exaggerated and that like dominance, like they have to have like, they have to dominate you, and then they want like a submissive person or whatever. But that it's all ties into like the way that people were raised and what they see.
You know, now that you bring that up, I'm kind of like tying it into something, right? In the sense of, I feel like those two things are very confused when it comes to being masculine versus being machista, because it's two different things, right? I feel like it's very confused and is very influenced by the social media world in general, you know, because I feel like a lot of social media is going to give you that, what was the guy of that name? The guy of that name, the name of that guy who always, Jay,
The one who used to what?
he always talked about how like he's the top dog, like he's the guy.
I don't know.
Oh,
Everybody like
fuck. Stupid ass tater tot?
there. Yes,
Yeah, I
tater
have
tot.
no
What's his
Andrew-
name?
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate. Okay,
That's
see,
Tate. What do you
She said
say?
she said freaking tater tot.
He's a tater tot, and his followers are tater tots.
Yes. You've never heard of him before?
Oh, because his Tater Tot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, Tater what?
Like, I'm so confused. Yes, I've seen like videos
He's
of him, and he's back in the U.S.,
worst.
guys.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he's a big influence on either men or women, like kind of looking at that and saying like, okay, being masculine means you got to cook for me when you get home. You got to this for me. You got to that for me. Like,
Child.
no. A masculine man is not that. And social media in general, even when they do like challenges and stuff, like on TikToks, like there's that challenge where, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the guys are standing in front of the mirror and they'll be like, okay, this is what we're gonna, I'm sorry, I keep playing with my eye, but I got a little eyelash that keeps like, and it came off. So they're like standing in the mirror because they saw this one guy do it and he's like, what did he say? He's like, what are you gonna make me for dinner, bitch? But they'll never say it to them.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen those TikToks?
Yes.
Oh, it's like their outlet. Like,
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
They're like, because they don't get to say it in real life.
Right. So all of those little things, I feel like if the wrong person is watching it or someone who's like full of ego, that's really what machista is, right? Like
Yeah.
being full of ego
yeah.
and thinking, like all of those people who watch that are the wrong person watching it is like, yeah, that's how I gotta act in my everyday life. That's what's gonna make me a man, but it doesn't.
I feel like going into kind of what you just said about expecting dinner and all of that sorts, it's different. I feel like, we know within the Latin community, they're expecting, a whole plate of tortillas every single day. You waking up at like las 4 de la mañana for you to have the breakfast and everything ready. I think there's different ways about it. Like, one, obviously, I feel like back in the day, that was common. But why?
Yeah.
Because they were hombres machistas. And they still exist to this day. But I think it's different. It's different from you being told to do it as compared to you wanting to do it for your man.
Yep.
And, obviously, like, if you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife, or not even if you have a job, like,
Yeah.
if you want to do it, it's okay. Like, for me, for example, if I was a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home wife, I have no problem cooking, cleaning, and even still, even if I'm working, there's nothing wrong with that. But now, if he was to come and tell me, why isn't this done? Why didn't you do it? Like, or like, I'm expecting you to do this, and that, just because I pay the bill, just because you pay the bills or, whatever, that doesn't mean I have to do anything.
Exactly.
So I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, I agree. And like to like add to that, back then, ladies stayed home a little bit more, and the men went out to work and provided, and that gave them the, like they felt like that gives them like a free pass in treating women like shit. But also, like, nowadays they want the woman to work, contribute the same amount, and then start acting like that. Like, it's not the right thing either way, but at the same time, like, at least back then they were building houses. Like,
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
guys
like
don't know how to do anything now. I'm sorry.
That's exactly
you can't
what I
even
was
change.
about to say.
You want lip gloss? Like, you don't even know how to change a tire. Like,
Okay, but see, that's exactly what I was gonna say, because, like, hold on. Okay, because I feel like back then, like you just said, they were paying the bills.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying men nowadays don't pay the bills,
yeah,
but the women are also making money.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're contributing 100. I
Exactly.
contribute.
Same thing.
I contribute 100. It doesn't matter what money I'm bringing to the table. It doesn't matter what household chores I'm doing or how much I'm caring for you. You're giving me 100. I'm gonna give you 100.
Exactly.
So that means if I'm cooking, you're washing the dishes.
yeah.
If I'm washing the dishes, you might be drying them. I mean, whatever it is, like, there has to be that fairness, because like you just said, but are you going to put that mirror up for me? Do you know how to hammer this to a wall? Because they're not built like they used to be.
Yeah.
They're not. Like,
Yeah.
most men are not built like they used to be before. Like, it's just kind of been a little, I don't know, they're taking it a little easy.
Exactly. And I saw this thing, actually. I think it was a video, or I don't know if I saw it on Twitter, but it was like, the men of today have the same toxic masculinity of the men of before without the skills.
Period.
Yeah.
And then
Period.
someone commented under that and said, yeah, my ex-boyfriend put a hole in my wall and his dad came over to fix it. like
I could see that happening. I mean,
yeah,
I'll say thankfully, I wouldn't say Kevin's not like that,
Yeah.
right? But it's just I know men
yeah,
to this day who are like that, who would do something like that. And it's just like, I feel like, okay, what would the older generation think of us, for example? Because as a woman, maybe we're not doing that. It's not, like, let's say we're at a carne asada.
Oh no, I know where you're going.
You
with
know
this.
where I'm going? What am
Yeah,
I going to say?
nah,
What am I
that
gonna say?
There,
You can
we're
get
at
up.
a carne asada, and he gets up to go to the line, and
know.
all your family is looking at you like, mija, ¿por qué no le vas a servir? Pobrecito, ¿por qué no lo estás sirviendo? We both got 2 hands and 2 feet. And you know what? It's great that I will say this. Even the men, like, I will say this about Ernesto anyways. Like, he's never expected me to do that either. But he has, like, a lot of the men are, I think, I don't know, at least the men that I know, like, they do want to break that, and I've never, like, it's that older generation that's like, pobrecito, ha estado trabajando, debe estar cansado, ¿por qué no le vas a servir? I'm tired. I've been working. You know what I'm saying? But Ernesto will literally get up at a carne asada, serve me and him a plate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know. But see, the thing is, I forgot where I was going with
I
this.
have something in my eye. I'm sorry.
And the thing, no, like you said earlier, is like we have no issue catering to our loved ones,
Right.
Like there's no issue with it, but it's just it goes back to when it's expected, and they're like they just sit there and then they're disrespectful about it. Then that's when it's like, come on now.
Oh, I remember now. Okay, so what I was gonna say was, the thing too is, sometimes, for example, like, they may think because they have heavier physical jobs, they're more tired. And I understand. Don't get me wrong. I'm not diminishing their job. I get it. Like, if you're lifting stuff, or even just not sitting down, like, in an office, whatever. But what they don't understand is, even if you have an office job dealing with customers or whatever, I would say pink jobs, women jobs, it's like emotionally and mentally tiring.
Yep.
I do want to add to that, and I think that's the thing. Like, you are physical labor. You want to get home and you're tired, you don't want to lift anything, you looking for a massage, you this, you that. But us working in an office job, which, hey, there's women in the field now too, right? But us working in an office job is like, I don't think that is very understood how mentally draining it is. Like, especially if you're on the phone 24/7, right? In an office job, the last thing I want to do is talk to somebody when I get home. And you don't want to bring that home, right? Because you're just kind of like, this is my escape. But I really don't think that's always understood. And with those older generations, like we were just talking about, I feel like maybe they never lived that. And so they don't really understand that.
Yeah, like, I remember my mom, right? She, her chisme in here, or my parents' situation. I remember my mom, she would have like a typical 9-to-5 job. And, sometimes that's the thing. It's not, usually guys will have a stricter schedule, whereas women, it could be 9-to-5, but it actually is 9-to-7.
Right.
So then my mom, I'm not saying my dad's not the type to expect food on the table. If he's really that hungry, he'll make himself a pair of eggs.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to die of hunger. But I still remember there would be times where my mom would come home and she would still come and cook. And she'd be like, like, I'm so tired.
Right.
Yeah.
And still come and cook. But again, that's the older generation. It's just kind of like something I think they're used to at that point. Not that it, like, at least in my parents, it's expected, but mi papá se acostumbró.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
That's the thing. Yeah.
And we have it so different nowadays too, because now it's like, if whether it's Ernesto who gets home first or I get home first, if we're both tired, we're quick to DoorDash, Uber
That's what I
Eats,
was gonna
something.
say, yeah.
They didn't have that, they didn't have that. And even though times are still pretty tough, you know, it was different back then as well. And it's not like you could just be like, "Oh, I want Chipotle, but I don't want to go get it. Let's just DoorDash it real quick or Uber Eats it real quick." You know, so those things are, I guess, a little bit different. And also like having things that are already like ready to go when you go to the grocery store and stuff like that. I think it's
definitely different, but it just always goes back to the gender roles. And like you said, I think at least I have seen positive change in like this generation versus then, as well as seeing like people still like Andrew Tate encouraging people to act like that, but Tater tot. But
there's people who actually like, it's funny you say his name because I know someone specifically who is always quoting him.
Stop. I know someone that actually reposts his stuff too, and I've literally said like, this is a really bad man, like.
But they don't see that.
They don't
understand it, and it's fine. Whatever. Everybody has their own opinions, perspectives, but it's just kind of crazy.
You know what I will say? I think this whole machisto. I gotta. This whole machista and toxico, all of that. In a way, it's kind of based off of like what you were raised at, right? Like, or how you were raised. Because I do feel like a lot of these men who are now machista, they're used to seeing their mother or whoever they grew up with as a woman figure do all of these things for a male figure in their life, and they won't expect any less, you know. And even when it comes to being toxic or being toxica, like whatever, like you come from a toxic household, you know, and that's where it kind of comes down to like, are you going to change this, you know? Because like, for example, when like me personally, right, like like my mom, she a boss, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't grow up in, when he comes home, like, le tienes que quitar las botas, le tienes que sobar los pies, like, you know what I mean? Because my mom also has worked very hard all of her life. And so I got used to that. If I'm doing it, you're doing it. You know what I mean? And we can both do it. Now, you know, in terms of you guys, I don't know, you know, like in how,
like a family dynamic,
like your family dynamic, or like you said, you know, your mom, like she still came home, but she was still working, you know, and even yet I still know your mom will get up and she do it, but she does it out of love. Like Bree said, it's not expected. She does it out of love because that's her love language. Like, you know, she's catering to her man, and that's the difference. Like, she loves to do that versus someone who has just grown up as, and it's expected.
And like to go into the family dynamic too, like I grew up with just my mom, you know, not by like my biological father, and my mom was always working. Like she was always working. She was like worked 2-3 jobs at the same time, you know, and she is a very strong woman. So, and you know, like she'll make things for my stepdad, but I also like my stepdad wakes up like and makes everyone breakfast, you know. It's like it's just like it doesn't need to be, you know, like that. So and like my mom's love language is also feeding people, you know, like making things for everyone. And I think that just goes back to, it's also a really positive Latino culture trait, you know, like they're just like acts of service is one of those things. But and then the people that have to go back to what you said, they have grown up with like seeing their parents, like the plate has to be on the table, like when the dad gets home, like that is just so like, and it just continues. And that's the thing about it, like you have to educate the future, like the future generations, and kind of put a stop to it, otherwise it's just going to keep going. And
I see TikToks, I don't know if you guys get these TikToks, but I see these TikToks on my For You page sometimes, especially after I entered my wifey era. It's like TikTok's trying to send me a sign, but I always like get these TikToks where, and there's this specific girl who always comes to my TikTok, and her captions are like her little, like her video captions will always be like, make breakfast with me, or make lunch with me, or make dinner with me for my hardworking man. And I feel like people see this and they're like, oh, well, you know, my boyfriend's sitting down on the couch all day, but I'm still going to make him. I'm still going to wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning to make him breakfast and stuff. Like, no. Y'all need to know y'all worth. If I'm big on, like, it's you and me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and Ernesto's kind of the same way. Like, Ernesto will, if he's home first, he will always make food.
Yeah.
Or we'll order.
Yeah.
We always ordering.
I was just gonna say, like, you know, my dad, like, I growing up, right, like, my dad, yeah, my mom would cook food, but my dad would always make breakfast. And you know this.
Yeah.
Like, my dad will always make breakfast for me and my mom to this day. Specifically, like, Saturdays, he'll be like, getting huevos, like, you know, or I'll like wake up to the smell of him making these potatoes, which are really good.
Yeah.
So it's just like, or even my dad will, you know, get the masa ready. Like, yeah, my mom's gonna make the tortillas. He's even tried himself, but I mean, he will, you know, like, he'll help her. Or even like, my mom makes tamales. He's there with her making the tamales. So it's just like, again, it's not because it's expected or because he has to do it, because she has to do it, but it's just their love.
Out of love, yeah.
And, you know, you guys are kind of answering it in the way of how, you know, we were raised and stuff like that. But I will say, I would have been curious to know how the difference between me and, like, let's say I'm an only child. But I wonder how it would have been if I had a brother, or you guys too. You know, you guys only have sisters.
Yeah.
So, because I've also seen, like, on social media or even in real life where it's expected from the daughter, you know, to clean, to cook, or, you know, to do whatever. But then the brother is okay. The son can do whatever.
That part.
They're like, oh, mijo, it's okay.
Yeah. I've seen this. Oh my God. I saw, I think, a video. I'm on TikTok a lot, clearly. I see everything on TikTok. I saw, it was like Thanksgiving dinner. The aunt, the mom, the grandma, the cousin, the sister, they were all females, women, and they were all cooking. They were all in the kitchen, and all the guys sitting on the couch watching TV. Like, not lifting a finger. And then, of course, it panned back to later. They were also doing all the cleaning.
You know what? When Ernesto was newer around the family, I remember one night we were over at my mom and my dad's house, and we had finished eating and whatever. And so, and mind you, like, we had been dating for a while, but it was just probably the first time Ernesto ever did this. So we're finished eating, and Ernesto picks up my mom's plate, my dad's plate, my plate, and then my dad's just kind of looking at him like,
You making me look bad or
like,
something.
you know, yeah, like, because, you know, my dad's just, he's a jokester.
Yeah, he is.
And so, then anyways, Ernesto takes it to the sink and he starts washing the dishes. And my dad was like, Nesto, he's like, deja eso ahí que los hagan ellas. But, you know, like, yeah, like, and, you know, my dad plays around, but, like, it's a good example of what you're saying anyways. Like, and then Ernesto was like, no, I can wash them. Like, I'm almost done anyways. It's fine. He's like, no, vení, vamos a ver, vamos a tomar cerveza, vamos a estar en el sillón, que ellas no laven. And then Ernesto was like, I'm going to make you wash them.
Literally, though. No, seriously, like, I think it's kind of crazy because just thinking, the way I always grew up so, like I said, my mom was like a single mom. She did everything. So I always grew up very, like, women empowering, you know, like that kind of thing. So to this day, I'm sorry, I don't like to cook. Sue me. Yeah. I don't like to cook. And I think that was just instilled in my brain. It was ingrained in my brain. Like, you know how, like, when we're little, they're like, you have to learn how to cook so you can cook for your husband. You're not going to find a husband. I was like, no, I'm not going to learn how to cook. I don't want to, like, I know how to cook. I can survive, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I don't like to do it. Like, I don't find joy in cooking. And it's just, like, one of those things, like, I think now, maybe it was because, like, I was just resentful of that notion.
The expectation.
Yeah. And so I was like, what? No, I'm going to be rich and I'm going to have a chef in my house. I'm not.
If you're secretly rich, please share. It's funny you say that because Diana and I, this lady used to live with my grandma. And I'm glad you said you can survive off, you know, if you need to eat. You remember the lady who used to live with Mama Elsie and she burned the eggs?
How?
She couldn't cook. She couldn't cook to survive.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
I wonder if she's okay now.
I think she got a man who could cook.
Okay, see, and
I
that
mean,
too,
period.
I would always be
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm going to find a husband that knows how to cook. Like,
Yeah.
he's going to be the one to do it. Like, I was just, like, so resentful of that notion because, like, why? Why?
Yeah.
Me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And why aren't you telling, like, little boys that?
Yeah.
You know, like, if you don't know how to cook, you're not going to find a wife. Like, cooking is a survival skill, guys. If you don't know
It's
how
true.
to cook for yourself, you don't know how to fend for yourself. Like, you know, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
So...
And it shouldn't just go towards their daughters. Like, I'm sure there's, you know, mother-in-laws out there where they're going to, like, talk down on their daughter-in-laws or, you know, whatever, or even to them directly if you're not making, ay, pobrecito mi hijo, no le están dando de comer. Like,
no.
you know, I
Yeah.
think
It
I have to
happens.
deal with that.
Yeah, I was
but it's
gonna
like,
say.
It can happen.
and
Yeah.
in terms of like cooking, I'm not gonna say I'm a big chef, you know, whatever, but I actually don't really mind it. Like, I think for me, it's kind of like I don't know what to make sometimes. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, I don't really mind it. I'm sure I don't want it to be where it's like expected again every single day, but you
Yeah.
know, and then Kevin has that curiosity to learn. Like, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes on TikTok, there's a lot of recipes.
Yes.
There
So you'll be
is.
like looking, like especially like to grill stuff, or even, you know, like me specifically, if there's something that I don't know how to do it, I'll be like receta de pollo asado. I mean, de pechuga de pollo or something like that. But it's, I don't know. But it's
No, it's
because
true.
I want to.
Exactly.
Not because anybody's telling me
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
It can be fun for sure. I know there's people that really enjoy baking
I just
too.
realized I said pechuga de pollo. Pechuga.
Pechuga? I think you could say pechuga de pollo.
You say pechuga de pollo.
No, but pechuga de, like, how do you say, pavo? You can
No,
say
I don't
pechuga
think
de
there's
pavo.
pechuga de pavo.
What do you mean?
No, I
Or
think you just
pechuga de
say
cerdo.
Pechuga de pescado. No, it's just like, it's just pechuga. Receta
No,
de pechuga.
I feel like when I've looked it up, I'll be like pechuga de pollo.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, yeah. I
'Cause,
guess.
like,
Because
it
pavos
like,
have a
what?
pechuga.
Pierna de pollo.
Pierna de pollo, yeah.
makes-
Well,
don't
but
say-
you can have like
you don't
pierna
say
de res.
You wouldn't say pierna de lomo. Like,
Lomo?
Lomo.
Wait, lomo is the
just
back.
take that shit out.
Wait, lomo is
It's
lomo
the
the
back,
back?
yeah. It's
okay.
like
No,
the,
but like-
a lomo, like the main. Yeah, take that shit out. But anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh. I think.
Like that thing.
No, I think, but like.
A pierna de res. You don't say that. Like, I don't think you say pechuga de pollo. But anyways.
That's what I've heard, though. I think all my life.
I think me
Pechuga
too.
de
Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'm second guessing myself. You know.
No,
It's
like
just
pechuga de pollo.
yeah,
Pechuga.
or
Pechuga.
receta de pollo. You know, like.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Pechuga.
but it's just. I know.
No, it's funny. And you know, with everything that we've, you know, kind of talked about, and I think a little bit in the role of the machista too, and I'm sorry that I have been picking on my eye all episode.
Do you
But
feel like you have something in there?
I feel like I have something in my eye. Tying in with all of this, you know, and it kind of plays a part in the machisto part, but more into like the red flag and all of that. Like, it's really about taking accountability, being self-aware of your actions. Not to mention, we didn't really get into like being toxica or toxico or red flags in friendships, not just relationships, you know. Not that we really touched base on that, but even in all of that, like, your accountability and your self-awareness is what's going to take you, like, it's going to make you realize where you meet that middle line of, am I just playing around or am I being problematic?
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, like, love for me specifically, or in general, like, love should feel safe.
Yeah.
It's not a battlefield.
And easy.
And I should never feel like I'm competing with somebody that I love.
Yeah. It shouldn't be hard, you know, like, I mean, obviously, like, you go through hard things in relationships, marriages, or whatever, but I think in general, like, your life shouldn't feel draining and hard. And to go back to, like, you know, like that machista culture in the past, I feel like, yeah, people stayed together, but they weren't happy,
Yeah,
you know?
that's true.
That is true.
Like, having to, you know, not just that specific example, not just like the cooking and stuff like that, whatever. It was just like, I think people back then just se aguantaban.
Se aguantan. And you know, when we think about machista too, like, we're here talking about things that they expect, but this can get into a deeper conversation about le pegan, you know, like they're, when we're talking about machista, we're talking about like machista. So a lot of these women didn't have the resources that women may have now to know you deserve better, or, you know, not even to realize you deserve better, because sometimes you're blinded for these things, you know, but I feel like back then you didn't really have that eye opener of this is not okay, because tu vecina le pasaba lo mismo.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So everybody was in this routine where it was like, okay, you know, we're going to get up, we're going to do this. The guy's going to leave. Vamos a, you know, voy a hablar con la vecina, voy a chismear con la vecina un poquito, un café con pan, whatever. Okay, they get home, you know, food should be ready. You better be catering to him like X, Y, and Z. And that just became routine to them, you know, but
you know, going into kind of like what you guys said about it, they weren't happy, it was into routine. And like playing into that today, I will say it's very difficult probably when you're in it to get out of it. Yeah. But then there's also probably, you know, people out there or friends, how do I say it? Like, just as an example, right? Like, how would you inform your friend? Or, you know, because maybe she is blindsided. She's so in love that she's not even realizing it. It's how do you get out of that? Or how do you, like, I wouldn't say convince them, or how do you get them
make them realize? To
realize, like, what is going on? Like, this is not okay. Just because you have kids, you don't have to stay in a relationship. Or even still, even if you've been together for so long, you've been together 8, 9, 10, going into what years, you don't have to. It's okay to start over again, and you deserve to find that love, not in just someone else, but also in your self-worth.
I want to touch base on that, because that was a really good point. When you said that, how do you leave somebody, right? Like, even if you have kids. When we're talking about this machista world, we know that a lot of the times the women are not making any money. And that is always a big thing, where it's like, can I start over? I don't have anything for myself. Am I okay with allowing my children to see me with nothing? But at the same time, the eye-opener is, but are you okay with allowing your children to see you suffer? Exactly. Because that's where it becomes traumatic. That's where it becomes, this is what your children expect when they get older.
Yeah.
And so then they where does that stop, you know? But I think you did make a really good point, because a lot of women are blinded to this, and I kind of think that's where a red flag could be justifiable, because you know, you as a friend, or you as whatever you are to that person, you need to be able to speak up, and whether they like it or not, let them know.
No, it's definitely difficult. And, you know, in terms of kids, like, at least back then, or even to this day, you know, especially in the Latin community, I feel like oftentimes, you know, they do stay for their kids, but what they don't know is that affects them later on in life, and maybe, you know, they would have been better off, but like you said, sometimes they just don't have the resources to. So it's like, if you are a friend, or, you know, hopefully they have other people or family that can take them in the meanwhile.
Because like you said, I think it's better. Like, I would rather have, you know, I don't have children, but I would rather, if I was in that situation, let my children watch me suffer and get back up than watch me and think that getting treated like that is okay. You know, and I think that they, like I said, at the same time, you know, it's just everyone gets comfortable, and when you're comfortable, you know, like, you're like, well, like, what am I going to do? And like you said, a lot of them don't work, and then they have to go back into the workforce. It's hard, but I think they can do it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them just might not, they don't know that they have that skill set. You know, that I think that's really where it comes. Is like, what am I going to do? you know, but there's so many things out there that you can do. And I do agree with what you said in the sense of, like, you know, I definitely, if that was ever, if it was anything I'd ever had to tell anybody, like, yeah, you know, you'd rather have your children watch you suffer and get back up and know, hey, mom was able to do it by herself.
Yep.
Or, you know, dad was able to do it by himself. However this plays out. But some people are blind to it. They don't see it. This is the norm.
Yeah. They've been manipulated so much, you know, and they've just been gaslit into thinking like this way.
Exactly.
And those are also 2 red flags.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And they see, I don't know, the way the algorithm works, like on social media, that's what I was saying. Like, the way the algorithm works is, like, if you are, I mean, I'm assuming, right? Like, if you're probably in that position of what's going on around you, that's probably all that's showing up in your social media anyways. So you're thinking that's the norm. And that's what I'm saying. Like, social media plays a huge part in influencing a lot of relationships that are going on right now. I saw a post the other day where it's funny because during Valentine's Day, there was like this post, you know, well, first of all, let me start somewhere. During Valentine's Day, everyone is posting on, especially those like social media content creators.
Yeah.
Room full of flowers.
My God, yeah.
You know, these are women expecting this for Valentine's Day. But how about we think about the women who have barely gotten a flower in the past 5 years, you know, and for social media, like, for this to be their standard of, okay, the next guy I date, he better fill up a room of flowers with me, because no, that's not what it's about.
Yeah,
because
no.
a man can buy you 600 flowers and he can still turn around and do something that is incorrect, you know, but at the same time, what I was going to get into after the whole Valentine's Day thing was, it's so funny because after Valentine's Day, like, I started seeing some TikToks, and there was this one girl, and she's like, has your man asked you to be his leprechaun yet?
Oh, yeah,
For
for
St.
March.
Patrick's Day?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's...
Yeah, but people grab that and they're like, I need that.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
I need what social media has. And
oftentimes, you know, that is not reciprocated back to the men. And I feel like, yes, it's okay, you know, we deserve that, but they deserve it as equally too. Like, they deserve all the love too.
yeah, they do. All of this talk about these women cooking, I'm getting pretty hungry for
I'm hungry.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, we need to
Let's go make some pechuga de pollo.
pechuga de pollo. Yeah, we're gonna go eat pechuga de pollo,
But
not
before we
pechuga de res.
Yeah. But before we do that, make sure you follow our channel, subscribe, put those notifications on. We're on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, or even on Spotify if you want to listen to us.
At Puro Pink Chisme everywhere.
Yep.
Y recuerden, besties,
Stay real.
Stay pretty.
and most of all, stay pink.
Bye.